Good evening and welcome. My name is Michelle Jutrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up. Thank you for joining me this evening. Tonight we're going to play with a product that is new to some of us. It's a product that Stampin Up have brought out that came from close to my heart. And it's the Secret Garden scrapbooking stamp and thin cuts, or the dies. So this is it here. If any of you saw on the scrapbooking page on Facebook the other day, I did a layout of my parents and their wedding anniversary using this stamp set. So tonight I thought I'd try to make a card with it. It comes with photopolymer stamps. Let me just bring them in here. That's them there, and it comes with all the dies to cut them out. Now, where did I put those dies? Here they are. And when you get the dies, the stamps and the dies all come together as one bundle, and the dies come on a magnetic sheet, which I think is actually quite handy because it's not quite a nice little magnetic sheet here. I've also bought the dies that cut out all the flowers as well, and I've actually popped them all into the one envelope just so that I had them all together, since they actually do work together, even though you could use these dies here as a separate identity on its own. So that's why I've got them all in one packaging, because this one here, actually, these dies here didn't come in this plastic sleeve. It just came in a cellophane bag. So, yeah, keeping them all together in one spot, but I just love these flowers. So I thought tonight we will try doing a little bit of watercolouring with them. Now, the last few times I've tried watercolouring, it hasn't worked out too well. So let's cross our fingers, and tonight let's see how we go. But I'm not using embossing powder or anything like that tonight. We're just going to stamp it with some Stays On ink. Now, before I go too much further, please jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from, because it is always wonderful seeing people pop up on my lives and saying hello and chatting amongst themselves as well. Please, if you're new, hit the like button if you're on YouTube, and share my channel if possible. That would be great and help my business along. So let's get started. So I'm going to be using Stampin' Up's Fluid 100 watercolour paper. So when it comes to you, it comes like this in this packaging. There's sheets that measure roughly, actually should have it on here, do they? Dimensions, yes, 12.7 by 17.8 or 5 by 7 inches. Hello, Joan. Thanks for joining us tonight. Now, I'm using my Stamparatus, which Stampin' Up no longer carry, just for the fact that I needed a repositioning tool, because I want to make sure that I get good coverage with this stamping. So you could use any repositioning tool that you may have. This is my choice to use. So we're going to be using that. So I've got my Fluid 100 here. Now, normally I would cut this down a little bit, but I haven't laid my stamps or anything on here as yet, so I just want to see where they're all going to fit, and then we will get started. So I'm wanting to cut it, or to stamp at the moment, the large flower, the smaller flower, and some of those leaves. So let's just peel these off. It comes with a little foam sheet there to protect, and I suppose if you don't have a foam mat to use under your photopolymer, you could also use that to give a bit of cushioning, because your photopolymer stamps do need that extra foam underneath them when stamping, so you get that really nice coverage. But it doesn't matter so much if you're using just a line image or a sentiment stamp, but definitely you do need them if you're using a solid image stamp, which would be like these sentiments, because they've got quite a solid area here and you want that all nicely covered with ink. So the foam actually gives and allows that to get good coverage. So let me grab these leaves. I'm going to, don't want those getting too close to each other. There's a big leaf and a smaller leaf. And is that all I'm going to use? I might just do this little one here because he is a cute little one. And I think for the moment we might just leave it at that. So let's just close this up and pick up those stamps. And I'm just going to add a magnet there just to hold that in place. Now, the Stays On ink that I'm going to be using is, I've decided to use the Saddle Brown. You'll find that in our annual catalogue because I didn't want the solidness of black on this. Now, I am going to grab, not quite sure whether I've got one handy, but I'm going to use this to go underneath. Just want to grab something to pop underneath here just to hold that while I'm inking them. Hello, Deb. How are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm going to give this a really good coverage with ink. Now, the reason why, and I've just realised I've actually popped those leaves on upside down. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, isn't that clever of me? Let's just grab that and clean that off because that will actually, it also will actually stain my stamps. But that's okay. It just means that they've been used and they've been loved. I'm going to turn those around. So make sure you don't put them upside down on your blocks or your stamping tool, positioning tool. Now, let me go back to what I was saying. The reason why I'm using a positioning tool is the fact that if I've got to go back and re-ink these for a second time, I can do so and ink on the same spot. So let's just try to re-ink these again. Now, as I said too, the Stays On may stain your stamps, but once you've cleaned them, they won't continue to stain other things. So they are very good in that fact. Now I'm just going to give that a really good push down to make sure that's adhering nicely to my cardstock. And because your watercolour paper has got texture to it, I did want to just make sure that I could go back and re-ink it, which is what I'm needing to do because I've missed some spots. And that leaf there, I'm going to do all of them again, I think. So let's close this up and give this another good press. Just down there on those edges there. That one as well. And hopefully we won't get a double image. No, we've got some beautiful clear images there. I just want to give that a little bit more of a press there. Nice. I'm really happy with that. Now I am going to flip this around because I do want to stamp some more of those leaves. Now I just want to see where that's going to come to. I want to move that out. Actually, I might just clean those and just take them completely off. And that way I'm not going to get ink onto the mat underneath. So we'll just give this a bit of a clean. Now, it's not recommended you put your Stays On cleaner on your photopolymer stamps. They can affect them. I have done it a couple of times and it hasn't affected it, but I do go and clean them up straight afterwards because the Stays On cleaner will leave a residue on your stamps, and I'm sure if that's left on your photopolymer, it won't be doing them any good. So I do recommend that, yeah, don't worry about the staining. Just leave it as is. And I've stained mine real well tonight, so can't get much better than that with staining. I think I've done a good job on that. Okay, and I'm just going to stamp those there. So now I've got, oops, we need to do that one more time. I forgot to put the magnet down, so let's just, hopefully this will re-ink in the same spot. Get that a really good firm press. And it hasn't. So I need another piece of cardstock in there. Actually, I'm going to cut this and flip this. And that's why you should always use your magnet to hold it down, because you don't want that to double print like that. So I'm going to pop that in there, and I'm going to pop my magnet on top this time. See, tonight you're learning what not to do rather than what to do. Let's try again. Really good firm push. Another good firm push up in that corner. There we are. That one has not quite as good, but that's okay. I am happy with that. So let's just wipe these down. And I will have to clean that a little bit. My plate has got some ink on it. I'll clean that down a little bit later on. Okay, let's just move that now right out of the road. Excuse me. Sorry about the coughing. I think it's a little bit of changing weather and everything. Okay, so there's our images. And I've decided that I'm going to colour my roses in Pretty in Pink. So I'm just going to squeeze my lid to my stamp pad and see if I can collect some ink there. I have got two of my brushes here, and I'm using my medium brush. Now, I generally like to use some water, so I've got some fresh water here, and I'm going to add that to the lid of my stamp pad and just make a nice pool of ink in there, watery ink. And I'm just going to go in and start colouring. So I'm just doing this. I've got a fairly dry, I'm just wondering, can I grab another? I'm just going to pop that there for the moment. I've just got another brush here. And I just really want to lay some water down on here because that'll help this all flow. So I'm just being quite liberal here with just adding a bit of water on my paper, just so it's not dry. And then I'll come back in with the colour, and that will actually help that colour to spread. So I'm just really just pouncing this colour on, and any water on there is just going to allow that to move out. I'm not worrying too much about shading. I'm not worrying about covering all my flower image, or at the moment I'm just wanting to get some colour down. White space is always good. I'm just pouncing this around, just adding colour. I'm just being quite quick. I'm not being pedantic about where everything is going. Add a little bit more water to this. And add some of that colour on there. Just taking that right to the edges. Not going outside the flowers too much, but just giving a bit of colour on that like there. Now I'm just going to let that dry a little bit, and I'm just going to add a bit of water to this particular flower down here. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Just picking up some colour, really just pouncing that colour around. The colour will only spread really where you have placed water. Okay, so there's that one done. And I love that, how soft and delicate that looks. But we are going to come back in and add some more colour. Now what I've got here is just a paper towel here just to clean off my brush a bit. And I want to add a little bit more ink into here. Now, if you've got re-inkers, that's really good. You can just add a couple of drops of re-inkers, but I don't have any re-inkers in these colours as yet. So I'm just giving that a bit more of a squeeze just to add some more colour there. If you have too much water here, it will transfer over into your ink pads. So maybe if you have got too much water there and you've just re-inked it, like transferred the ink like I've just done, I'd probably just get a plastic spoon and just scrape that ink around just to make sure it's nice and spread evenly. So again, I'm just going to come back in. I'm going to work with a little bit of a drier brush this time. You could add a little bit of water if you want, but not too much. And now I'm just going to come in and just add some highlights in here. And Stamping Up, close to my heart, I've added lines on the stamps, the same as what Stampin' Up do, and you can use those as the ideas of where you want to put that extra strength of colour. Of course, you know, you want to put extra colour underneath where the shading would be. So for your areas that you think will be darker, you can add a bit more colour in there. So underneath your petals, down in these areas here on your folds, where your petals and that overlap each other. In the centre there a little bit, around underneath all those stamens. So I hope you've all had a lovely day. We're almost halfway through the week. Okay. So I'm happy with that. I'm not being too pedantic. I'm just sort of adding colour where I think it might be needed. Now, if you wanted to, you could add just a little bit of yellow or something, or even wild wheat into where the stamens might be, but I'm actually not going to worry about that today on this particular card. because I've used that saddle brown, so it's already got a brown tinge to the ink. I don't use the saddle brown very often, so it's good to get it out. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry now and just see how that comes up. Hello, Rose. How are you? Thank you for joining us. So just give this brush a good clean. Excuse me. So the next colour I'm going to bring in is Old Olive, which is probably my favourite go-to as far as leaves and everything is concerned. So again, I'm just going to make, oh, excuse me, a bit of a puddle here and just give these leaves all a light brush. As I said, not worrying too much about leaving white space. Oh, excuse me. I think it's a little bit of hay fever around at the moment. It sort of gets stuck in my throat. So I'll just let that dry for a second and I'll grab these ones and we'll just do a similar sort of thing. So I'm just really just pouncing that, just moving that watercolour around. And I'm really not doing too much with those little ones. Okay. Again, dry off my brush a little bit. And now I'm just going to pick up some of this stronger ink and start adding maybe a few details. So a bit of that stronger colour from there, and it'll just drag up to those wet areas down through the centre. With watercolour, it's very forgiving, so if you get an area that you feel that is a little bit too dark, you can either get your paper towel, blotch it out, or add a little bit more water and it will spread out a little bit. So I just took a little bit of colour out of that because I just felt that that was a little bit darker than what I wanted. I am putting a little bit back into it in those areas there. I'm just going to let that dry and see how we go. So this one here, I just want to add a bit more green to this. The leaves all don't have to look the same because no two leaves in nature are exactly the same. So don't try to make everything look perfect. And if there's areas you miss, don't worry about them. Now this one here is a little bit drier because I did this before heading onto the other one. So I'm just going to come back in and add a little bit more water because it's not spreading as much as the other one did. Put a little bit too much water in that now, so let's just take a bit of that out. And I'm quite happy with all of those. I think I might just put a little bit more dark from there, maybe just a bit more from here. And that is that. Very quick watercolouring project. Now, if you go onto Stampin' Up's website and look at their products, you will find listing of these products there. Now, of course, they're only there while stocks last. So if you are interested in them, I'd jump in fairly quickly and grab them. Okay. So let's pop those brushes away for now. And pop the lid on my water so I don't spill that. Now, you're best off letting that dry naturally if possible, but I am going to hit this with the heat gun just so then we can keep going with this card. So it's going to get a little bit noisy. Just give these a really quick dry off. Okay, let's have a quick look at that. Just have a, still a little bit damp, but it's not too bad. So there we are. And now we're going to cut them. So I'm just going to actually trim that down a little bit more just so I can place this in my cut and emboss machine. Now, I've got my big one here because what I thought I'd also do, and I will do it next, I'm going to grab the Cane Weave 3D embossing folder because I do want to just emboss my front panel. So I've got a piece of white, basic white cardstock here, and I've cut it at 9.7 by 14.1. And I'm going to run it through a cut and emboss machine because I just want to give it some texture. And again, this is an embossing folder I haven't used for a while. It's a 3D one, so I'm just wondering. Okay, let's just fingers crossed. I've got the right plate here. I've got plate number 4, so it should be. Yep, it's the right one. For a moment there, I thought there was another one. And that's just going to give me a really nice textured card front to put those flowers onto. So I'll just pop that to one side. I'm going to pop away number 4. I'm going to grab plate 2 back, and we need plates 3. So let's pop this one on the bottom. We'll grab that and let me just move that a little bit so you can see it. So I need those two, and that one. Now I'm going to pop on there some tape just to hold this down while it goes through the machine. Now these dies don't go around as tightly as our Stampin' Up ones do. There's a little bit more of a gap. It's what they used to be like before Stampin' Up made it a much tighter die. I just want to make sure that that's positioned well on there. Yes, it is. Pop that through. So who is looking forward to all the new Stampin' Up products that will be coming, scrapbooking products that will be coming out fairly soon? It's going to be quite exciting having scrapbook kits. They're going to be available in early September, so I'm looking forward to seeing them. So let's grab these dies. Whoops, we won't take those off there. We don't want to put those through again. This one. And the last little one. Pop those on there and let's run these through. And we'll grab this last lot. And we'll run that one through. Sorry about the shaking. Okay, so I'm just going to pop these all into here just so then I don't lose them. Said I do like the fact that they've given us a magnetic sheet to pop these onto. I think that's actually quite handy to have. So let me bring in the rest of our products that I'm using. So what I've got here is I've got 2 pieces of pretty in pink. Yep, that's the color I've used, pretty in pink, at 10 by 14.4, one for the insert of the card, one for the front of the card. They're for my mats. I have got my card base here, which is 10.5 by 29.9, scored at 14.9. Hello, Nicole. Thank you for joining. And I've got an insert piece here, which is also 9.7 by 14.1. And, of course, we've got our card front piece, which is also 9.7 by 14.1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this piece. Whoops, got a bit of sticky or something on there. Just let me grab. Don't know how that got there. Fortunately, it's just made that a little bit. That's better. So I'm going to adhere those 2 together. Give that glue a good shake down. And that piece is going to be adhered onto the mat, just like that. Whoops, can't get it square tonight. Now I might just give this a little bit of a trim down because I'm just not happy with, I just need to take a little bit off the width of my mat. I think that's a bit better, and I'm going to take a little bit off that side as well. Sometimes when you run your cardstock through the embossing folder, because you get, it'll sort of shrink it up a little bit because some of it is going into the heights of the fold, the pattern that you're putting on it. So I'm going to do the same thing with my card insert. I'm going to adhere this piece onto here. And then this piece can go straight into my card. Now I'm not going to put the piece on the front of my card as yet because I do have some ribbon here that I may use. I've got the ivory and black gingham ribbon, and I've got also some of the pretty in pink ribbon here as well. So there's my card base ready to go. There's my flowers that we've done. Now, the only other thing I want to do is a sentiment. Now, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. I'm taking this bigger and bolder sentiment here. It's A Beautiful Life. And I want to stamp that, but I'm thinking I want to stamp it first off in the Pretty in Pink. And I'm going to stamp this twice in 2 different colours. I'm hoping I can cut some of it away. I've got an idea and I'm hoping this is going to work, and I should have put my foam mat underneath that and I didn't. Okay, how's that looking? Fortunately, I think you can't see beautiful too well, so we may just do this again. This time I'm going to grab a mat and I'm going to take the one out of the Stamparatus. I've got more. Don't want all the ink in the words. Let's just see if this works. It's a little bit better. I'm just wondering if my stamp is a little bit too, there's a bit moisture in there. So let me just stamp this again and we'll see if we can do it again and see if we can get a better coverage. Well, it's not so much the coverage, it's like the ink is very, let's see how we go. I'm not quite sure whether we're getting a good one. My idea might not work. Well, we'll see. Well, we'll see. Hi, Lucia. How are you going? Sort of playing a little bit here. Just not quite sure whether I'm getting exactly what I'm wanting. And I want to stamp this also in the greens. So oops. So this is Old Olive. Just give that a good push down. And look, beautiful has come up great in the Old Olive. So it looks like I'm going to use the banner in the Old Olive. So let me just clean off this stamp. I think maybe because I didn't move that ink around, put the water in the pool in the lid and it's gone to the stamp pad. And also maybe it might be a little bit a moister ink pad because I think my Old Olive is probably slightly drier. So probably even if I had got a spoon and pushed the ink away from the outside edge, we might have got a better beautiful here. But that's okay. I can use the banner in this because what I want to do, let me grab my paper snips. I'm going to leave a bit of an edge around the banner, but not too much. I might have to make that a little bit narrower. And I'm going to cut all of that away. Oh, I hope this works because I've just cut right through life. It's really good when you're sort of not quite sure, you have this idea and you just hope, with fingers crossed, that it's going to work. Thank you, Lucia. I'm glad you like the colours. The old olive is my go-to green. If ever Stampin' Up decided to get rid of it, I think I will cry for the rest of my life. It's one of those colours that I just love. And the new Pretty in Pink. I'm so glad it's there because it's such a pretty colour too. So we're just going to cut out this banner. Now, this is going to be the fun part, because now what I want to do, and I'm probably going to use this middle one. Let me have a look. Which one is the better one? So we stamped that 4 times. I think none of them are real great, but I think that one there is going to be the better one. Let me just get rid of all of this. Now, what I'm going to do is grab a pencil, and I did have it here. There it is. Yeah, I think there'd be riots too. And you and I, Nicole, will be leading the riot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a little bit of a light line, and this is just my tricky way of getting away with following a line. And now this is where I've got to decide where I'm going to go, because I want that to sit on top of that. So let's just draw a line around its and this line is where I'm going to cut. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the line, but I'm going to take off that piece of the banner there. Let's just remove this piece here. Will make it a lot easier to cut if we don't have all of that stuff hanging on. And I'm going to remove that bit. And then follow that line all the way around. And I'm just going to go straight up to there. I mean, I probably could cut off some of this banner, but oh, sorry, I'm fidgeting a bit here. I've got very sore feet at the moment. Now that pencil line, when I'm finished, I will just get my eraser and just rub out any marks that is seen. And because I've done a white line around the banner, and on this I'm cutting the banner right on the line of the banner, it should all get hidden underneath. So there's all of that. We'll get rid of that. Just grab this and just rub out any lines that might be there. I'm going to pop those two on top of each other with some dimensionals. And I've got my dimensionals hiding in here. So let's pop a dimensional on there. Another one there. One in the middle. And we're going to line that up. Should probably might have been easier to put the dimensionals on the other side. Okay, let's see. Whoops. Push that down too soon. See if I can just lift this up carefully. Should have done it the other way. Tonight's a night of could haves, should haves. That's better. That's better. How's that? Looking better? Okay. Let's start putting this card together. So I'm going to pop this on here somewhere. Now, I said before, I've got some ribbon here, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this, or whether I might just use, let's open this up. Now that is the ivory and black rather than the white and black, but that's, I think I can get away with it. And I think I like that as a bit of a difference, point of difference rather than same. Let's just tie a bow. Not need to be. Now, I don't know yet if this is how exactly, whether I'm still going to use this or not. We're just going to have a little bit of a play. Put your input in if you think it needs it or not. At the moment, I'm sort of thinking it might be a bit too much. So, okay, let's just put these roses on that we've done. Because it might be just all a bit much. Because on the watercolour paper, this is not looking as pinky pink. Don't know whether I like that ribbon now that I'm doing it. I think what I'm going to do is take that off and just position all of these, and let's just go from that. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on there. I like to add just 3 in the middle. You know me, I like to build things up from the top down. So let's just pop that one possibly about there. This one then can go, actually I might just move him across a little bit. That one can go there. So let's pop a bit of glue underneath that. And again, I'm just going to pop my glue in the middle. I don't want them in a line, so I want that one just down from it a little bit. And we can just add some of these leaves. Whoops. Give that a good push there to make sure that glue has taken. Okay, we want another big leaf. Now this is where I want to start looking at where that actually might even go there. And that leaf can come out. Yep, I think I like that leaf there. It's a beautiful leaf, can actually come down a little bit to there. Grab one of these smaller leaves. There. That one I'm going to leave for a second because I'm thinking he's going to pop out from in there. But what we may do, I've also got here, it's not the white, it's actually the very vanilla baker's twine. Because I do want to put something in behind that just to give it a bit of a break. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is tie a bow in this. It's not as heavy as the black and white or the black and ivory. That can go there. And I'm going to hold that down with a glue dot. So I need my take a pick tool here. Wrong one. I want this one. with the stiletto end on it. Pop that there. Now I'm going to pop some more dimensionals on the back here because I have popped that baker's twine on there. I just want that lifted up over that twine a bit. And I'm not going to put, I'm going to put a few in there, but I'm leaving a bit of a gap in the middle. I'm hoping that's where the knot of my bow is going to be, or the knot of the twine. Not necessarily popping that into the middle because I have made a space just a little bit on that side, but then it's sort of, I think it's going to be evened up. Just going to cut these back a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. Now I've just got this one here I want to put. Now where am I going to pop him? I'm sort of thinking of bringing him down there, and I think that will look nice. Get rid of these pieces. Okay, now let's grab our card front. I think that's going to look pretty. Oh, thank you. Not all my cards come together well. Some of them end up in the bin, but there we go. As you know, I don't like lots of bling, so I'm not going to add anything else to that. I think that is just, I'm really happy with that now. Whoops, dropped my card. So there you go. It's a beautiful life. So I really love how that turns out. I'm really loving this particular stamp set. I've loved it since the first time that Stampin' Up showed it, or some of the Close to My Heart demonstrators were showing it and what they were doing. So I've really had a lot of fun having a play with this one. Thank you, Nicole. But as I said, if you haven't purchased it, you'll find it under on our online store under Close to My Heart. They've got a little label for them with all their products. So jump in and grab it. The only one I haven't played with yet is the dies that cut out the flowers in 3D. That might be Fridays. I might do something with that. We'll have to have a think about it. So I hope you've enjoyed that tonight. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that's inspired you to get out and do a little bit more watercolouring. As I said, don't be too pedantic about it. Just really put your water down, and as long as your water doesn't go over the edges, your ink will only go where there is water. So if you leave dry spaces, it won't transfer to there unless there's just too much and it just overflows. But have a play. I always go and grab myself some cheap watercolor paper from $2 shop or from the local art shop and just play with it until I'm happy. And then I grab the Fluid 100 and do that. But I love this type of watercoloring because it always comes up really, really well. And just make sure that your first layer of ink that you laid down, like I did tonight, I did 2 layers. First layer is quite light. You want to water it down, have it really, really light, and then start building it up. If you find that you've got ink, it's too dark in some areas, blot it out. Watercoloring is very, very forgiving. You know, you can just blot out, put some more water on those areas and blot it out. You can't do the same on your basic white, unfortunately. It just will peel. The paper is different, and your watercoloring paper is very, very forgiving and will let you do a lot with it before it starts breaking down. So have fun, enjoy, and I will see you on Friday at 1 o'clock if you can join me then. And we'll create another project then. So have a lovely evening. Thank you again for joining me tonight, and we'll catch up with you later. Bye for now.